This podcast is part of the Democracy Group.
Joe Oddo, welcome back. How you been?
Excellent. We're making good progress.
Excellent. So now you're officially on the ballot, or you're officially nominated by the party that you are going to be able to sort of piggyback on, so that you're on the ballot. Is that right?
Well, rather than having to go out and get signatures and make the ballot every year like I had to do when I lived in Virginia,
Yeah.
this Alliance Party of South Carolina already has a ballot line. So they held a convention last week and nominated me here in the 6th District and Margot Ellis in the 1st District. So we've got neighboring districts covered here along the whole South Carolina coast up to Georgetown, down
Okay.
to Savannah. So that team work is going to be vital going forward because, we can double press into the media and the constituents and let them know that, hey, you don't have just one solid alternative choice. Now you have one for each district. So we're going to ask people to suspend their leanings towards R or D, or pulling that straight ticket, because this is a very strange way that people can vote here in South Carolina. They can pull a straight ticket, they pull a D, they pull the R. They don't even see that there's alternatives.
Really?
So if they do that, they don't even pop up in their feed. So that's what we're trying to. The message we have to get across is: look down ticket. Don't just pull a straight line, and because there is a governor race and the top Senate race and all those other races are on the ballot this year. But, things are looking rather dismal for the incumbent party right now. So that's good news.
Meaning the Republican Party, right?
I don't say them by names.
Okay. Just so that we
don't get many free advertising.
That's true. No,
they get enough. They're the biggest fundraising operations in the world. So
True enough. Yeah. No, I think these are interesting times for sure. So, so the other person you mentioned, what I missed it. What district and what's their name?
So Margot Ellis is a USMC veteran who actually fought in Iraq, and very unusual to have a veteran in the race who was a combat veteran, and she's got a lot more energy than I do, 20 years younger at least. And so it's going to be exciting, but we don't know who she's up against because they still have an open seat in the 1st District.
Okay.
Being held currently by Nancy Mace, but she is in the governor's race in the primary. So the primaries are coming up here next month, and we'll find out who the nominees will be for the legacy parties.
Right. Okay. Let's use that word, legacy party. So is Nancy Mace running also?
No, she's running for governor, so she's not running for her House seat now. Her House seat is wide open, and there's a dozen people trying for the nomination of both parties.
Although that's not necessarily always the case. I've seen people run for president and for Senate, right? At the same time, like running more money. But anyway, so you're saying
that's because that's a statewide thing. In presidential, you can apply for different ballot lines in different states, but here you can't do both.
We can. Okay, good. All right, and then Margaret Alice, is she running Libertarian, right, for the 1st District?
No, we're Alliance, man. We're the.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. Alliance.
We do. You may say we're hybrids. We have tendencies towards the Greens, where for the environmental protections, we have tendencies towards Libertarians for lower government, those are pretty,
Yeah.
standard operating advocacy points that we work on. And I haven't really got her to come around or understand the TRM yet and the true representation that the allowing the citizen swarm to vote. But that's one of the things we're working on. The messaging that you and I are developing to help promote the TRM is going to be critical going forward.
Well, you can.
Because people are asked to decide who joins the swarm. How are you going to decide how to exclude certain people like oligarchs? If you have oligarchs that live in your district, shouldn't they be allowed to vote? And stuff like that. I'm getting those questions. So
yeah. I mean, the thing is,
we're going to have to answer those.
We have to, absolutely. Those are, I mean, if we when we and we are getting those questions, that's a good sign. The more of those questions about, okay, tell me more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we should probably get Margaret on the podcast if she's open to it. If you can convince her, I'd love to have her on, have a conversation. Because I'm attracted to the fact that it's sort of strategic alliance is not about ideology, right? Which is very much in sync with the ethos of the TRM, which is we're not about ideology. We're about getting things done in a way that reflects what the people want. And alliance sort of meshes with that. Let's not be bound by a certain orthodox. We are conservatives. I don't know what that means. We are we're libertarian. I don't know what that means. I mean, it means something very nebulous. But when push comes to shove, people are not really wedded to one idea. They're wedded to solving a problem. And I think
exactly. I mean, you could go way back to when W was president, and they had the so-called conservatives who were spending money like drunken sailors.
There you go.
On the war in Iraq, on Afghanistan, and there was nothing conservative about that. So they can go around and claim that all they want, but they don't stand for smaller government. No president has shrunk the government, even though Reagan said he was going to. None of them ever did until this one, the current one. But he did it with a bull in a china shop, So
he didn't do it. He didn't shrink the government. I mean, he's asking for $1.5 trillion for the budget.
Oh yeah, that's true. He's just
expanding.
offshoring it to the privateers.
He's expanding government control, like ICE and all that. So he's completely the opposite of a conservative, right?
Right, exactly.
Imagine if a Democrat was going around asking for states to hand over their election
they
stuff.
want to control the banks, the industries, and all that. That's socialist, But if this one here comes along and we want to control law enforcement and military and make the whole country in that police military state, okay, we'll look the other way.
Yeah, no, I think it has always been like that, right? Like Nixon, starting probably with Nixon, where we need to use the state for law and order, and expanding the state for law and order is legitimate for defense, so to speak, right? Defense. In fact, to be honest with you, between you and me and the audience, I do like the fact that Trump has decided to call the Pentagon the War Department, because it's far more aligned with what it is, really. I mean,
they were always offense, not defense.
DOD is a war department, and that's actually, so I agree. Yeah, it is. He is the Secretary of War, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because most people don't agree with war, and so he thinks that everybody likes macho, right? But anyway, so I'd love to have her on. Maybe you can help me if you can get her to say yes, and we can have a conversation.
Sure, I can. Yes, sir.
Get her to understand what we're doing and see, how we can help her and how she can help us, and so on. Okay. So I really wanted to spend this hour with you, just to talk about the little nitty-gritty things that we are doing, you and I. We at TRM, we're basically advocating the TRM, right? You're taking care of your campaign, right? Just to be clear, we are not funneling money. We're not funneling resources as such to you. We're promoting ourselves. And you are the best promotion for our ideas, because you're taking something that is theory, right? Ideas, right? Aspirations. You're actually trying to make it real by talking
Exactly.
to
The
real people.
citizen power that we're working on does emanate from that book right above me here,
Yep.
from Mike Gravel back in 1972. And it's been a tug of war between the government holding on to their power and protecting themselves from the citizens, to the citizens grabbing the power and saying, wait a minute, we should be involved in the decision making. And that's what's missing now. And I love the fact that you came up with Avatar, because I want to be an avatar for the people. That makes perfect sense, because we already have so many avatars in the house that represent their special people that pay them. So
Yeah.
this is the only way that citizens are going to reverse that. Where it doesn't matter, people saying, "Oh, I can't," the next politician, they're going to come along, they're going to lie to us. Of course they are. That's what they do. I mean, and so here's a way to lie proof your member. You get them to vote the way you want. You, the citizen, want.
Right. Yeah. And
How can they lie? What's there to lie about? What's there to funnel money towards?
I think the people on
Beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way, to be honest with you. This is how strong I believe, and I think we share that belief. I think this is the only sustainable way to move forward, to be honest with you, because we have seen it going from bad to worse. Just
Exactly.
going.
And every other attempt at getting it right has failed, because you can't put good people in a bad system without them turning bad. I mean, you get elected, and then
here's
you
the
have
thing.
to be a fundraiser for your party, or you have to do what leadership tells you, or you don't get a cherry committee's assignment, or those kind of sticks and stones are just, those are obstacles for anybody that wants to get involved, and the bar is so high that you really have to raise how many million to get started on a House or Senate seat. It just shouldn't be that way, man.
Exactly. Now the thing is this: if somebody, and this is a thing that I'm trying to communicate to folks, and it doesn't stick, which is the following. It doesn't stick yet. I think we'll get it to stick at some point. It's not because somebody is a bad person or that they are a liar, that they're doing what they're doing. Here's the thing, right? If you run on promises, you say, I'm going to do A, I'm going to do B, I'm going to do C, right? And you say, my principles are this, and that. Now, the thing, when you say that, de facto, by just saying it, there's going to be people who are going to disagree with you. You're not lying.
Yeah, at 50%.
They disagree with you on many things. And so why from the get-go you're saying I'm not going to represent you. From the get-go, right?
True.
I'm not going to represent you. I'm going to represent the people who agree with these A, B, C, and D. So what kind of a representative is that says, I'm going to stick to these issues and I'm not going to do any other issues, right? As opposed to somebody who says, guys, right, and gals, I have no stand whatsoever, right? And when push comes to shove and there is a bill in front of me, the people who take the time to go and say, yes, vote this way or that way, and feel strongly enough to weigh in, to participate in the swarm, because the swarm is a collection of people who may choose not for the particular bill because they don't feel strongly enough, they don't care much, right? Not to weigh in. Whereas some other people a mother who knows about education, and therefore wants to get involved, will say her piece, right? And the people who care and who are most affected should be the ones who tell you how to vote. So you are never, like you said, you are never in a position of lying because you never made a statement or a promise. As soon as we start making promises, for sure, even if we hold those promises, we're not representing other. I mean, take the most virtuous person who lives up to every single promise. By doing that, they are systematically saying to half of their constituency, you don't matter. On any issue, you don't matter, right? If I vote the way you want, it's accidental. But we didn't have a say, it was me deciding. And so, right? Anyway, I think the idea, like you said, is not a new one, right? In fact, it's even much older than the 70s. It's like comes all the way back to Rousseau, who really talked about the will of the people. I think, are you frozen or are you just, can you hear me? Did I lose you? Can you hear me? Okay. I'm going to wait for you to come back because I can't hear you. Maybe it's your internet. Are you back?
Yeah.
Okay,
We,
okay. I lost you for a few seconds here. We'll edit this. Anyway, the idea is really ancient from the time of Rousseau in the, what is that, 18th century, right? Where there was something called the will of the people, except that at that time was impracticable to enable folks to react and weigh in real time. And it's taken, I don't know, a couple of centuries and more to get us to a point where technology today allows us to do that. But to be honest with you, I think if one is talking about the evolution of history and where it's the next big thing in history, it is this move away from a handful of people, literally, or a couple of hundred people deciding the fate of billions of folks, right? But I think it's going to take time, and I think what I'm proud of is that you and I, and the folks who are working with us are doing something about it, right? Because there's a lot of papers written about this, a lot of theory, a lot of people talking and debating, and we are among the first to actually do.
it all does get back to Madison's original principles. They didn't put a system in place to allow
Yep.
tyranny of the majority. They didn't put a system in place that was going to get rid of friction. There
Yep.
was going to be friction built into the system. They knew
Exactly.
that. That's
Yep.
why they put 3 different branches.
Exactly.
And those branches knew that compromise was the answer. Right now, all those things are out the window. You're not allowed to be an opposition party. We're going to make you disappear. You should be out of business. That's garbage. You can't just get rid of opposition parties. And because the mentality of either party doing that to each other, they collude with each other to make sure that anybody from outside their little uniparty doesn't get any traction and that they don't get any attention. And that's one of the holds they have on the media because they own all the media. So we're not going to get spread that way. We have to go around the big MSM channels. But the other piece of that is the friction itself is a good thing, and the people need to weigh in. We have to have this 4th branch of government. It was not conceived how bad it was going to get when Madison and friends wrote this back in 250 years ago. So we have to realize that, yes, there's going to be friction, but the citizens have to be involved. They have to play their role. They can't just, there was a good book by Haas, I can think of his name, the Bill of Obligations. We have a Bill of Rights. We've been defending that for 200 years. Well, now we need to enforce or at least encourage people to live up to their Bill of Obligations. The fact that they have a government that laid out for the people's participation.
Excuse me.
Here it is. We laid out a beautiful system for you. Let's not mess it up. Let's not allow it to slip further into totalitarianism, authoritarianism, as it is now. And that's just what people are missing the boat on, man. They got too many distractions. The price of gas went up $1.25 since the new war.
Yeah. Well,
what are they going to do?
I mean,
challenges, man.
To be fair, right? To be fair, back in 2016, there was a massive movement with Bernie Sanders where the people really started getting involved for real, even young people, right? Which is astonishing, right? We're getting involved, and
Well, I guess you could go back further. In Obama was the '08, and the promise of change was so appealing, but of course.
Yeah.
He had 8
Although
years
Obama
to not make his mark.
Obama did. The thing about Obama, he did not frame his struggle as an anti-corporate struggle, right? He didn't. He was
Of course not, because that's who supported him.
Yeah, and he framed it as anti-Bush, anti-whatever, right? Whereas Sanders was explicitly anti-corporate, explicitly anti-big business, right? And then the people, it resonated big time. The tragedy there is that he was kneecapped, right? Was kneecapped by the party, right? Because that's not what the party wants. They don't want that guy, right? He's not viable. What do you mean he's not viable? I mean, he raised a lot more money than small amounts of money, right? And that was very disturbing to them, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing in 2020, kneecapped in 2020. I mean, in 2016, it was the party just completely just messed up in terms of corruption, right? And it came out in the emails and all that. 2020, he was kneecapped. In 2024, he was kneecapped by, and in both cases, when he's kneecapped by of all people, Obama, right? Because he had such power in terms of, and also kneecapped by our good friend, right, Clyburn. If it was not for Clyburn, because remember he was dead in the water, Biden, in the first three, New Hampshire, Iowa, he was dead. That's it. And then Clyburn, our friend, came with his mighty, moral authority, whatever, for South Carolina, right? And if he had lost South Carolina, he'd have been gone, and maybe it would have been different. Probably Trump wouldn't have won, given that.
Yeah, and the money that poured into that, with Bloomberg jumping in to help Biden get the nomination. It was all, you're right. The corporate entity, and that's what people don't they fail to understand. They don't put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah.
That this is how the monopoly party is going to operate, no matter what. They are controlled, just like everything else, by the corporate entities, and these folks don't have a human face. They work in a nuts and bolts, dollars and cents. That's black and white.
I mean,
let's not worry about the human.
It's a racket. It's a racket.
About the, I mean, so that's where the compromise is unacceptable. It's either our way or no way.
Yeah, I mean, this is just to address the point that the people do get involved when they see something that resonates. They do get involved, right? And then, but the thing is, they're not allowed to flourish. They're suppressed, right? And it's not suppressed by in theory. We have 2016, 2020, 2024. They were suppressed. There was no primary in 2024. It was Biden, right?
Yeah,
and
that was
at the last minute, they pulled Harris and installed her as the. So where is the democracy in the Democratic Party? It doesn't exist, right? But again, just to make sure the point is made, which is there is energy out there. I think we're seeing it in this cycle where it's a lot of candidates who are anti-establishment, anti-DNC. Right, in the primaries are running and are winning, right? Like Chris Robb in Pennsylvania is making waves, and a whole bunch of them. Right
Graham
now,
Planter in Maine.
Is in Maine, right? I mean, what's her name? This lady, just a couple of governor, right?
No, Graham Planter running for Senate, I think.
Yeah, but the governor of
he dropped out.
The governor of Maine, she dropped out.
Right.
Just a few days ago.
Oh, Janet Mills. Right?
Janet Mills, right? So that's what I was thinking. And so the establishment tried very hard. I mean, look at the guy. The guy was amazing, came in, a lot of energy. You think that the Democratic Party would support him? No, but
of course not. He's not establishment. We got to go on to someone else, just like Mondani. The people that are fresh ideas and upstarts like that are scare the heck out of the old, stodgy, Clyburn-esque. That face. That's I'm running against Clyburn, and that to me, I just see institutional stagnation. That's all I see.
Absolutely.
I mean, even though with the new Supreme Court decision that came out. Clyburn was their go-to guy because he wrote about it. First 8 congressmen back in the Reconstruction, and it's a decent book, and that makes sense. He's their go-to guy, but of course he's going to be on the same blue talking points that his party allows. Just like when we asked him, what do you think about Gaza? A couple of years ago when Biden was still president. Well, we got to do what the president says. Really? You have no opinion of your own. You don't have any.
Nope.
You're not allowed to step out of the square box they put you in and say, "Hey, we can't tolerate this. It happened to our people. The dehumanizing of our people of color, and here we are doing it to other people. How do we justify?
What a shame!
That?
What a shame!
And you could ask the Jim bot that we created the same question. I've asked it, right? I've tested it, and he gives the same word salad answer that he gave then. It says, "Oh my God, you frame the question. Oh, yeah, okay, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's a shame. The thing about the voting rights thing is, remember that Biden, when he came in, he had majority in the Senate, and was it the Senate, Congress, and Senate?
Well, they had the House, but
It had tied. They had a tie.
they may have had the Democrat, but they had HR 1, that bill that would have ended gerrymandering. We wouldn't have been in this place where the so-called
No, they
Save
had
Act got
actually
closed
in the Senate. Yeah, the Senate they had.
But we had the end gerrymandering HR 1 that passed the House with no Republican votes. So now they're over here crying that they lost in Virginia to gerrymandering. Well, hey, we wouldn't have had this fight had you guys understood that we
Yeah.
were trying to do something for the people, do the right thing instead of the
Well, I mean, that's
partisan
what
thing.
that's what those folks do, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, Biden had the House, and he also had the Senate. We were tied, but there was Harris who could break the tie. So we had the Senate, right?
Yeah, but you had Sinema and Manchin who were dissenting from Biden's team.
Yeah. So where's the leadership? If we were trying to talk about leadership, why didn't he threaten them like the way Trump threatens his people? Why didn't he do those things that an executive can do to push for the voting rights? Because he could have done a lot more. They could have done a lot more about voting rights, right, which was just destroyed, right, when they were in office. Obama could have codified, for example, Roe v. Wade when he was in office. He could have codified, which had gone completely out of
that was another promise he broke.
Yeah, I mean, he broke a lot of promises. He broke the promise of Guantanamo. He didn't pursue the Bush administration war
He was going to
crimes.
end the war. He never did.
He never, he added 2 more wars under his belt, right? Which is Libya.
Yeah.
He destroyed Libya and he destroyed Syria. They were under his administration, and he started interfering in Ukraine. It was under him that the coup happened, which has started all this stuff, right? Ukraine at that point was stable. They had, whatever, they had somebody who was pro-Russian, that's their business, right? But no, Obama had to send, Newland, that the war criminal lady, to go and interfere, create a coup. Remember, there was an actual coup d'etat of somebody who was elected in Ukraine in 2014. That was under who? Obama, the guy, who turned out to be in my opinion, a complete fraud. A complete fraud, a betrayal of his base, to the extent that now, and there was this video of him showing him, talking, with his arrogant voice. And somebody had asked him about Gaza, and he started started lecturing the guy that it was not an appropriate forum to talk about that. Okay, so that's
right. So he's still evading questions like he was a master at that. So
yeah, but he does it in such arrogance, right? Like, who are you to ask me?
And exactly what he was doing last when the Harris was on the ballot and they had him on the stump for her, and he was like, "Hey, my brothers, you gotta turn out for this sister," and they're like, dude, yeah. we're on to you. You don't say anything real anyway.
Yeah. What did you do?
How we can believe you now when we couldn't believe you before?
What did he do for the African Americans when he was president? He did nothing. He really did nothing, which is, it's tragic that the opportunity was there. But anyway, going back to the basics, is he was not a grassroots candidate. He was not, he was not talking about we need to end corporate,
And it's truly a large lost opportunity because those folks need representation, just like the indigenous do, and now you see the results of that, of them shrinking, like allowing McConnell to hold that Supreme Court nominee until the other guy got elected. That just avalanched into a mess that we are in now.
Yeah, the guy, what's his name? He died in January, February 2015.
And they held out the nomination for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year. And then, so where's the leadership? We're talking about leadership. Where's the pushing? Where's the yelling? Where's the making, a scandal out of it? Where's the, none of it. Because, which was captured in that video of him, decorum. There's decorum. You have to follow the rules. it's a corporate or entity, right? Corporations, they follow rules and regulations, so on.
Well, you can also see the collusion. Like
Collusion.
before in
Yeah,
Biden's last year, they were floating the idea of having military in the streets.
yeah,
That idea was put out there. So that's what, to me, that's why they look like one party to me.
they
They
are one
already
party.
had the idea, so that no matter which one, Harris or the incumbent orange guy got in, they were going to pull this off. They were going to put them ice in the streets, and maybe this one went a little more belligerent than we expected, with the face masking and the killing people and getting away with it with no accountability. I mean, that maybe wouldn't have been as extreme under Harris, but they had floated the idea of putting military in the street. It's not
Yeah.
anything new, and the
Well,
police state morphing into military state. People are just so tuned out. I mean, they're so much being thrown at them,
yeah.
like Bannon's rule. Just throw so much at them that they can't keep up.
The zone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
working.
yeah. And again, I mean, it is not it is not that the people are just unthinking. It is because of some concerted efforts to get them not to think, to get them
Right.
distracted, right? Which creates a challenge. I mean, that's the biggest challenge. Is how do we
Yeah, we have to break through that noise.
how do we
That's
break through
that's the
that
hard
noise?
part.
That's the hardest part. Although the good news, I think, is that right now it's an opportunity. I think there are
Well, the tools are allow us to do things like this. The tools allow us to that gym bot. The tools allow us to expand a swarm.
yeah,
So the tools, the independent movement of the country is realizing, wow, so the MSM is losing its grip. There's a lot more independent media. There's a lot more sources for alternatives. And the little guy can use the tools available of technical tools to grow. And,
yeah,
and that's exactly what we're doing. We're
yeah,
leading, not just we're not just doing it. We are showing other people how to do it.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
whole point. Because
yeah,
it's not going to fall on us. We know. I mean,
yeah.
this is just a little blip in the bigger picture.
It is.
I just
Yeah,
want to get on the ballot to show. Look, it can be done. It's not that hard. You don't have to be like worried about the skeletons in your closet because the other parties are going to find or make some up for you anyway. If you don't
yeah.
have
I
any,
mean,
they'll make some up for you.
imagine that becomes whatever skeleton they bring up is beside the point. So what? Okay, would you like us to bring another person in? Okay, we'll bring another person in, but they will
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
exact same
Who
thing. So,
doesn't have skeletons, right?
and who cares? Who cares? Because it doesn't matter who they are. I mean, that's sort of the thing that
It's still a broken system.
exactly. Still
So
broken
you're
system,
missing the point. It's not the person, it's
not
the
the person.
system.
It's the system. It's the fact that they're not allowing the people's will to be translated, on a regular basis, not once in a while, not on the big issues, right? But every single issue that comes in front of you, let the people have. And again, it's very doable. The thing is, like we said, it's gonna take a whole lot of work, and I think all we're attempting to do right now is to get that spark going, so that somebody somewhere is going to take it seriously enough to tell somebody else that this is interesting, right? And like anything, I think where if we're trying to bring about change, it has to be across time, but sustained effort, right? That's the key thing. It can't be like we're going to try,
Exactly.
it's got to be, everything takes time. Everything takes time, right?
And you never know where you're going to form alliances. That's why I
Exactly.
like about the name of this party I'm with, the Alliance Party, because we do align with people on the other side when the opportunity arises. For instance, that gerrymandering vote in Virginia, I worked for 7 years with the group that was in Virginia to help get that passed, nonpartisan redistricting. It happened. We got it done, with a lot of effort. People underestimate how hard that was to do. And then they just come along and one, swoop from to counter the orange threat.
Yeah.
They
And do it.
eliminate it. Like, wait a
Yeah.
minute. So here we are, found ourselves, the independents, aligned with the oil party on the same issue. Vote no.
Yeah.
Our purpose was the principle of it, right? We had to work hard to get nonpartisan redistricting. Why would we get rid of it now? And but of course, it seems strange to be aligned with the oil party, but they had a different motive for why they wanted it, because they wanted the partisan advantage. And that's what it's all boiling down to now. You really don't, you see that the people are excluded from the decision making. We're not doing this for the people, we're doing this for our partisan advantage.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
no, a whole world of corruption, in terms of, you know, people not doing the right thing just because, you know, they would look like they are going to be partners or friends with so and so, even if they
Yeah,
agree.
how dare us compromise with the other guys
How dare us?
who
Yeah,
we hate? We have to hate them.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's why I think that's why I think the so-called founding fathers were against the party, because it just creates these very, static, non-compromising shells. Don't allow for what is needed, which is life is very dynamic. It changes, circumstances changes, people's priorities change,
Well, they knew
resources
that
change.
factions of men, which back then were the only thing they conceived was men, right? But factions of men would take advantage
Of course.
and would channel resources to their own benefit. They knew that. I mean, that's human nature. So that's why they built the system, hoping that they had the balance structure built in to offset those needs to take. And I can tell you this: the thing that's astounding to me about some of the remaining orange supporters, they never look behind the curtain to see what him and his family and all of them are taking. You know, they are just cashing in. Well, let's see. We'll buy a drone company, and then we'll buy up all the stock in that drone company, and then we'll drop these drones in the wars, and we'll have to build more drones. Oh my gosh! Suddenly we get a $5 billion contract with the government. Come on, people. This is right in front of your face, and you're acting like it's not there. Come on.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to explain it, in my opinion, because I also wonder, like, how can you not see that? First of all, you know, who is going to tell them that, right? Who is going to tell them that? Fox News is not going to tell them that, okay?
Yeah, MSM won't tell them,
All
yeah,
right, they want,
because they're all owned.
and if they happen to, for some miraculous reason, to read it in New York Times or whatever it may be, right? Then they won't believe it because it's the failing New York Times, right?
Right,
So,
right.
right, and then number one, number two, I think the remaining, I don't know, 20%, 25% who are, no matter what he does, they'll stick with him. I think those people, they are all about, I I don't want to lose face, and I don't want to lose to the other team. That's
Yeah,
it.
no one wants to be proven wrong
They don't
or
want to lose to
admit
their
that they were
team.
wrong.
Period. It's for them a game, and although there
Right.
are people who, I mean, there's, let's say he had, I don't know, 35%, 40% people who were, I think 10% went away. That's it. They're gone because those people were still believing something, of substance. But now they used some thinking and said that's bullshit, right? I can see the gas prices going up, and but the other ones, I think they're just all about it. I don't want to be a psychologist, but they're like, I'm not, no matter what, there's no way that you know, you are going to say that you won this battle. They see it as a face off, which is then, I mean, if you know that his base has shrunk to 20%, then hopefully that's good news, right? Meaning that there is progress. We're going somewhere. But where are we going is the question, right? The fear, in my opinion, and I think you probably agree, is that, okay, well, let's go ahead and get rid of this guy and so on. Let's take over the Senate and let's get over the House and let's get, a president who is Democrat, and then we just stay. The main things don't get addressed. We don't have Medicare for all. We don't have, the budget of the Pentagon continues to increase, meaning nothing really changes. And we saw
No,
that.
and the really sad part of them be colluding like they do
Yeah.
is that since they are a uniparty, they're going to protect each other. So they'll allow this orange guy to go away quietly if he cuts a deal with them. Well,
Yeah.
okay, you pardon me and I'll go. That's probably what's coming, and that's the saddest part because there is some serious accountability that should be put on the table, and no one's going to bring it up. I mean,
And
that's just untouchable. We
yeah.
couldn't touch him after January 6th. Oh my God! So they ain't gonna touch him now. And being the main character in the Trumpstein files too, that's another thing that's really hard to understand. It's no longer, I argue with those folks because of their party or who they support. I argue because of their inhumanity, their immorality. You
Moral, yeah.
tolerate that? That is what's
Yeah.
turning me off to say,
Yeah.
sorry, I
Well,
thought we were friends. I thought you were a decent. Now, these people that stick with that orange, wow, it's staggering now. That's just hard to understand.
it's hard to understand, yeah, for sure. Okay. So let's see here. We have 10 minutes, and I was thinking we can talk about the nitty-gritty, what you and I are trying to do along with folks who are. So right now, just to share with you, just to share with the audience, um, one thing we want to, the sixth district of, so just going back to the actual race itself, right? So you're running on the sixth district in South Carolina. It's in Charleston, right?
We
Area?
need people to join the swarm
Right.
between Columbia,
Yeah.
Hilton Head, and Charleston. That triangle, the district kind of weaves around. It's
Yeah.
gerrymandered to pick up the black votes, and it's probably going to stay that way until probably 2030. I think those in the legislature here said, "Well, we don't need to redraw. We already got our 6-1 majority
I think they're good.
oil
Yeah.
party, so they're not
Yeah.
going to redraw it here." But
Yeah.
that's the district, okay, and it's one of the poorest districts in the country, and you've been represented by someone for 34 years who hasn't lifted you out of poverty. So why do you keep voting for this guy? That's one of the things that's hard to understand too. So cast an alternative vote that says we the people want to be in charge. We the people ought to be deciding on how legislation is voted on. And we, with TRM helping with our AI that's going to compress legislation for you, you can read a bill, like an entire bill with AI compressing it in 5 to 10 minutes, and then make a educated, informed decision on how you want to cast that vote. So in other words, if HR 1 was one of the things we voted on, the majority said, yes, we want to end gerrymandering nationwide, then we could have passed it, right?
Yep.
And those are the things that people have to, we have to get that message across to say, you can take control. Citizens need to own and create the fourth branch of government, because Madison's setup was good. 3 branches was good. And in the back of their mind, they knew that everything defaults to the citizens, their decision. But they really didn't mean it, because, of course, they were the elitists of their day, and they didn't envision other people, wide participation, people that weren't people that weren't men of property owners, men that weren't white. They didn't envision that. So the vision is a little different 250 years later.
Yeah.
So we have to modify. We have to take what's there. It's a really good system. We don't have to come up with amendments. Just come up with a fourth branch with enough people, a fulcrum of people in the Congress to start. Let's start there. 6 to 8 to change the fate. That's all it's going to take. We will bring the other 2 to the table. We'll be able to negotiate out a budget for the year and to ask the hard questions. Why do we need $1.5 trillion for the military? Come on. Who else you trying to blow off the face of the earth? That's just,
Yeah, somebody did, some think tank did an analysis of how much was spent since February 28th when the invasion when the attack against Iran happened.
Was it 25 billion already?
25 billion, and the analysis showed you what could have been done domestically with that money.
Oh yeah,
Like
Medicare,
all
child care.
all children, would have been fed for the next X number of years.
Exactly.
Like 10 million people that have been, like, all debts. Here's the thing: all debts by college students have been taken care of.
Well, I think we brought this stuff up in our podcast before, Ahmed, and we can keep repeating it.
We have to.
It's good, useful information that hopefully will stick eventually if enough people see this. I posted our previous podcast on my website. We'll put this one up, and make sure you go to joeoddo.org to see the clips from TRM. I'm going to put those up eventually too. That basically break down every question about what is TRM, why are we trying to do this, what is a swarm, how will the citizens vote. We're going to answer all those questions. The answers are out there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're seeing this, please, here's 3 things you need to do. Not just vote, but also join an organization, get involved somehow civically, and if you can, follow my lead here, get on the ballot, stand for public office. It's not that hard, and it's intriguing. It's fun. I mean, I like the opportunity to debate. If the people show up, is such a rewarding experience. You know, I was able to do that when I ran in Virginia. Tom Davis, Virgil Goode, Jerry Connolly, all 3 debated me directly. So the opportunity came up. I took advantage of it. You never know when that could happen, you know. So hopefully we'll bring this 34-year incumbent around to answer to the forum, to a public forum that people want to know. Hey, where do you stand and why? And
Well, I
that's
mean,
exactly what we're out there to share.
so right now, let me before we close. Um, so right now, what we're doing is we're trying to get some students from I think Charleston College, right? We want some young energy people who can talk about TRM and your candidacy in campus. Maybe create a chapter there for TRM. Have presence on the ground. In addition to your presence, right? So students. So if any student in South Carolina is interested, ping us. Right? We'd love to have you be part of this really interesting experiment. The other thing we're trying to do is hopefully when we have folks on the ground who are helping us, you start to build the swarm, right? Join the swarm, the Joe Oddo swarm, the 6th district swarm. These are the people who will join now, and then if and when you win, they will tell you, they'll be your boss. They'll tell you what to do, right? They'll get the legislation, they'll read it, they'll say yes or no, or I don't care, right? And then boom, at the end of it, you know exactly what to do. You use your finger and you press, and that's it. That's all you do. You don't think, you don't debate, you don't think, should I press or not? You do as your boss, which is the constituency tells you. That's number 2. Number 3 is building relationship with the local media. So I'm following on Twitter, I'm retweeting them, I'm emailing them, getting them to know who we are, right? We meaning your candidacy and TRM behind in terms of the ideology, not the ideology, but the framework that you're following. Because just to make clear to everyone, our goal right now, and it goes to the point of it takes time, is to get coverage, to get people to say, this is an interesting idea. I want to dig deep into it. This is interesting. Actually, I want to be part of it. This is fascinating. This has technology. It has something fresh about it. And it goes back to the sort of new and old, right? It's very old, but it's also very new in terms of we can take that old idea of the will of the people and have it be actually become a reality, not just, let's approximate it through representatives. Because up to this point, in theory, we can't do it because it's not practical. So somebody's going to stand and do the best they can to represent, but they don't, right? And then the last thing is this making sure that we are continuously engaging with folks patiently, right? It's not going to click all at once. It will click slowly, and then it will click at some point down the line, right? Last thing though, which is very important. I think this is something that I think one of the first things that attracted me to your cause way back in 2024 is the fulcrum idea, right? The fulcrum. Can we find fellow travelers, right, who are not necessarily don't have the exact same framework in terms of, hey, direct representation through a representative, but they would be independent enough so that if there are 5, 6, 7, 8 of such folks in Congress, they would have immense power because the duopoly is really 50-50, at least right now. And so that
I think we did find a guy. What state was he in? Utah, that was considering the similar idea as having the citizens
Yes.
decide.
Yeah. He was running.
created his own app, I think. So,
He did. I don't know if
there's going to be some overlap in this
we
idea.
have to find them. We have to find these folks, right?
Yeah.
There are some people like what's her name? I'm sorry. You just give me the name and
The new person that's running, Margot.
Margot, right. So Margot would be a fellow traveler, not necessarily TRM, but fellow traveler, independent, thinking about beyond the party. And if you can find people like that who are thinking about non-party, right? Anybody who's running a non-party, as opposed to, okay, I have a set of issues, right? No, that's we don't care about that. We care about somebody who says we are going to be responsive to our.
And you know what? You know what? As the candidate, Ahmed, I can tell you this: it's actually pretty liberating, because in previous campaigns, and I've done this a few times, I always had to have a platform, right?
Yeah.
And usually it was an overriding, my
Yeah.
platform is a national election reform platform. I want to
Yeah.
reform this, that, and
Yeah.
the other thing. But
Yeah.
this is liberating because I don't have to go
No.
onto a platform. I don't have to have my own platform. I don't have to have people agree with my platform.
No.
All I have to get them to agree to is to be participants.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
all. Join our swarm.
Yeah.
Be a decision maker.
Be heard.
I am the follower now. I am
follower.
going to follow
Exactly.
the lead that those folks given. So I'm not the leader. I'm
Yeah.
the follower. And really, that's what a leader should be. A leader should be a servant of the people.
That is absolutely right.
That's,
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So
Yeah. No,
it's a liberating place to be. I can tell you
It's
that.
exciting because what you're saying really, right, is that, hey, guys, I really don't know, and I shouldn't really know. I'm here to help get your will to translate into action. That's all. That's my role. I'm going to be as good as possible to enable you to tell me what you want. That's what I want to do, right?
Yeah,
I'm
because
here.
when I had 10 platform points, people would say, well, I agree with 6 out of 10.
There you go. You lose them. Who are you?
Sorry.
Let me ask you this. Who would you lose when you tell a Republican or a Democrat, or it may be, that you are here to make sure that the voice of the majority of the district is heard? Who would say no to that? Who would say no to that, right?
Well, the people that are in line with the corporate
No, but
mentality.
I'm talking.
Those who are channeled into the corporate mentality.
Yeah, but your regular,
our party knows best.
Your regular
We
person.
like I'm running down the No King's line and telling them, hey, I'm standing against Clyburn. Oh, well, we like him.
Yeah, but if you say,
I didn't even stick around to say, what do you like about him?
Yeah, no,
34 years that he brought you a new bridge. That's all he's done since he's been there. Come on.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you see it like that, you're pushing buttons, the button of belong to this team, and you're not in my team, right? If you say I'm running against so and so, I would say I'm running on this interesting.
Yeah, I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for things now.
I'm running to represent the people
for a better system. And that's really what it's about. The system is broken. People have to wake up and realize it's rigged intentionally to increase the bar for people to participate and to lower the standards of those who do get involved. As long as they buck, don't buck the leadership and do what they're told, raise the money as channel, as prescribed, then they'll be okay. They won't be primaried, It's a terrible system.
Yeah, and I think that sort of the loaded low-hanging fruit question that the answer to is do you think that the people are being represented by our politicians today? Right. I don't think anybody would say yes, because they'll have their conception of, okay, they'll say no, I don't think people are being represented. Okay.
Right, exactly.
And so then you go back to the next one, which is, do you think that given two candidates, one who's going to represent you and one who's not, which one do you think is better? Well, the one who's going to represent me. Well, I am that guy. Okay. Anyway, for me, whenever I have the conversation with someone, I start with that question. Do you think that the current congressman represents the people? And they almost invariably say no, because they just don't like politicians. They just don't say no. They're not represented. Some of them might say, well, sometimes. That's the best I get. Sometimes, right? But how about all the time? How about all the time? How about all the time they are representing?
Yeah, how about we raise our standards and expect more?
Expect more than simply the 2 or 3 hot button issues, and the rest they can do whatever they want, whatever their handlers want them to. to do. I think maybe we should do this like once a month, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do you think, right? Or
Yeah, that
whenever it
sounds
makes,
about right.
and if we need to do more than once a month because it's like it makes sense then.
Well, one in I don't know, I think maybe somewhere in June they'll have the primaries here, so we'll know who the opposition party
So we can talk
members
about
will be.
those, yeah, and then we'll have some
Yeah.
progress. Hopefully, we'd have landed some students maybe by then.
School's about out now, the semester, so yeah, we got our.
So they have,
I'm gonna have to make some calls in the next day
yeah,
or
if you can
two.
get, if you know anyone in Charleston College, because that's the where I think we should be at, right? Because they are at the heart of the district.
Well, there's three of them here: USC in Columbia, which is South Carolina, and South Carolina State, which just did a great thing, and they have a Republican lieutenant governor woman here who's running for governor, and they rejected her coming as their commencement as speaker. The
Really?
students went on strike about it and said, "No, we don't want no white supremacists coming here." So
Wow.
that's where we should really be focused.
You think?
At
Okay,
South
okay.
Carolina State. They're in Orangeburg, which is center of this district. So College of Charleston is the elitist, the oil party people. They're going to be a harder nut
Are
to
they?
crack.
Are they? Okay. South Carolina State. Okay, then let me just refocus my efforts there. And again, if you can find one, two, three students, usually that's what it takes. And all of a sudden, they'll bring in their folks and they'll distribute flyers for us, and they will, get us to a point where what we want to do right now, the next real milestone is to get interesting enough for a reporter to report about us, right? And to get
Right.
interesting
Exactly.
enough, we just need to. I think the gym part is going to be interesting. It's always something that fascinates journalists for some reason, right? Having that, and then having maybe a debate on campus, right? Or you show up, you give a talk.
You did. So did you also do a Joe bot? You said something about it.
Joebot, to be honest with you, because I don't want to make it sound like Gymbot is a gimmick. I want it to be a tool, right? And so here's Joebot, here's Gymbot. If you want to ask, because the way we're going to use is this, okay? Okay, we have, there is a debate. We're inviting, Clyburn to come up and show up for a debate, right? He refuses. Okay, he refuses. So let's do this thing. Let's use his bot. And we're not doing the bot because we want to, disrespect him or whatever. It's because he doesn't want to show up, and the people should actually hear where he stands on these issues, and they should hear him hum and haw about Gaza, for example. And so by having Joebot, it makes it look like less like a sort of a dig at him. Okay, it's a tool. So our candidate also has. If you want to find about our candidate, go to Joebot. Right?
Actually, the more I thought about it, the better idea it is, because you're right. We don't want to just prop him up either,
No,
and
no,
more free
exactly.
attention by having the gym bot. So it makes
Yes.
sense to have both,
Yeah, and it's
And can you make another bot? Like if Margot wants a bot, for instance?
of course we can make so I am the head of a technology company, and so I'm into
Right.
AI, big deal, and so we know how to do all those things very cost effectively. So I'm more than happy to do Margot bots, right? Margot bot, and again, it's not a dig or making fun of anybody. It is a tool. It's like an FAQ, except that it's far more interesting, right? You can ask it questions and it gives you answers and so on, right? And the point really
Okay.
is
Good.
that we want folks to actually use these bots earnestly, meaning really go there and find out about where the candidate stands, right?
Yeah. I drew it in and asked
Yeah.
Jim some questions. Jim bot some questions. And man, he's right spot on, man.
Exactly. We will tune it some more. Just we'll add latest and all that and all that. The more, and then so for example, if Margaret has statements on where she stands and what her philosophy is and all that, we just need that material to train the
Right.
bot, so it becomes a brain, sort of a Margot brain that knows how to
Okay.
answer those questions, right? And then also, the thing about Jim, the Jim bot is that his, we took in not only sort of written statements, but also the way he talks, right? Meaning in terms of his style, right? The way he formulates things and all that. So that sort of got sucked in as well. So that when you're talking to it or you're typing, it comes across as their voice, right? The point really is
Good. That's
the more
great.
material, the better. That's so it gets
Right.
closer and closer to. It's an educational tool, right? And that's how we want to frame it. And I think we will grab attention, just like last time when we tried it in Virginia, when we have a debate and it doesn't show up. And then Jimbot is there to show up on there. And then right now, as opposed to 2 years ago, right now it's much easier to do voice as well. So it will
Right. Okay.
it will
Good.
sound like him talking. We'll do a disclaimer. It says, this is not him. But by the way, right, this is exactly how he would sound and what he would say, right? I think that's kind of captured the
So
imagination.
you're going to use the Don bot again because Kennedy's back in that race again, isn't he?
No, he's not. Is he? I don't think so. Maybe it's,
Kennedy's in the race. I don't think your guy. Who was your guy? I forgot your guy. But the other guy, Kennedy, is in the race again.
yeah. Well, I don't know why he's in the race again. Because he's running on the same issues as this guy, as Don.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Except
And
that
then another person who's already critiquing you is this guy Leon, who
Leon,
doesn't really pay attention. He's not a good listener, man. He
no.
can talk and he
Let's not give him.
He doesn't grasp it, you know.
No, it's no, exactly. He doesn't listen. Anyway,
All right, I'm
anyway.
holding you up, brother. Thank you for today. It was a good.
Oh,
good
thank you very much. And let's keep on plugging. Peace.
All right, peace.